What is up, everybody? It is Monday night. It is time for your Spec and Trending show with me, Izzy. If this is the first time you're watching, thank you for watching the show. I really appreciate it. It's going to be a fun show. We got a lot to talk about. But as always, I got to bring in my new co-host, I guess you could say, because you guys have already seen him a few times, but we're still gonna bring him in. We're still gonna welcome him into the party because it's the holiday season and we have to show this scene.
Welcome to the party, pal.
I had to put it on today. I was like, you have to put it on today.
I think I'm watching that tonight, actually. So I love it. I love that.
What's going on, Shane? How you doing?
Excellent. I was just saying in the chat, I love this time of year. The kids are pumped. You know, like we're looking forward to Christmas Day. We've already got the meals planned, and it's going to be a fun day.
Awesome. Yeah, man, we are ready to go. I ordered the cake because I always order a cake. I'm the guy who orders the cake in the household. I ordered the cake. It's supposed to be a Christmas design cake, a Spanish cake that we always get. So that's ready. The tree is full of presents, and they all have to end up in my mom's house. So that's always ends up happening because she hosts Christmas while I host Thanksgiving in my place. But let's go ahead and say what's up to the guys in the chat. We're gonna start off with our good boy Las Cruces with a woohoo.
Can anybody beat him to showing up? I don't know.
It's happened. It has happened. I will admit to that one. And he's saying hello from Nuevo Mexico. So, but look at our boy Matt is in the house. Happy holidays. All right. I wonder who's that guy. This must be a new guy. Haven't seen that name before in a while, right?
No.
Also, Wellbore is in the house. Hey. Eli is in the house. What's going on, Eli? How you doing, Tony? Comic First, how you doing, yo? All right. Found Superman's body in the frozen snow. He had so many track marks from being dragged by his cane. Hashtag blame Krypto.
That's funny. That's what I thought too when I saw that.
Oh, yeah. All right. So let's go with great. Love this time of year. Kids are pumped up. All right. Holiday car parking. Yeah, Phil. You know what? Do you watch SNL?
I do, yeah. Sometimes.
Did you get to watch this week's episode?
No,
this week was it was hosted by Martin Short, and there was tons of celebrities for this one because it was the Christmas episode. And speaking of holiday car parking, it's a scene, it's a skit. It's one of the first skit. It's not the opening skit, but it's the skip after the monologue. And it's Martin Short and Mikey Day, and they're fighting for a parking spot. And they kept doing hand gestures throughout the whole time. Go check that out. It is hilarious, especially towards the end. So it's definitely worth checking out. Eli's just cracking up laughing over there. And you got my boy Lawrence. Happy holidays, Lawrence, over there. If you guys haven't checked out Mighty Comics and Collectibles, definitely go hit him up. If you haven't seen his stuff, really good stuff. He's doing great over there. Always on top of it. So absolutely. What's up? We got Die Hard is a Christmas movie. Damn it. Get used to it. I'm not saying it's not. I never said it. I never said it wasn't.
It's a tradition here.
Tate Prime, happy Christmas Eve, unless you're in Australia where it's actually Christmas Eve over there. Tips ease if you're a newfie. I don't know what that means.
But I'm an East Coaster, and I'm not sure about that.
There you go. Thanks a lot, man. Okay, so today we're gonna talk in length about comics because that's what this is all about. It's about comic books, and we're gonna have a blast talking about comic books for I don't know how long we're gonna go with this because every time I try to do a 1 hour stream and I end up finding myself with 2.5 hours. But you know what? It's a great time. I'm having a blast doing it. We're gonna go off. We're gonna talk about the top trending books. Yeah, there's a dog in this one, but there's also a shark. Am I right?
Yeah.
So this week's top trending is run by animals. Not to say that we don't have a whole bunch of animals in the show already, but let's go ahead and talk a little bit about the top trending with the Comic Heat Index. Gosh, I love that explosion.
That's great.
Right? So we got the top trending comic books. This list is compiled up from certain metrics that I do. Shane's well aware of those metrics where I just do a lot of work. But I take information from the top 3 sites that give top 10 lists, Cover Price, CBSI, as well as Key Collector. I compile that information, but I also include fair market value prices as well as sales prices. So I look at the sales for the last 30 days for these books and to see what it is. And also, finally, there is a hype. What is the hype level for this book? For example, if a book is on fire right now with like a certain artist or character or something like that, then that will increase the hype. If it's something that's just a little buzz, then it's lower hype. And that's how we do this list. So that's how this list is compiled up. It's a very interesting list, but I'm also very happy about how interesting it is. So, and I think, Shane, you had a chance to quickly look at the list before we talked.
Yeah.
Right? Because this list, it always gets finalized like around 5:30 or something like that.
Yeah, no, and it's another great list. I love these. You put so much great work into these. They look amazing and a lot of great info. And I just love it. Anybody that's in the live chat, they know how long it goes. But that's the beauty part is you get to see the full thing now, and then you can watch the condensed versions later on, which is great.
Throughout the week. And it ends up going throughout the week. If you miss this part, you can catch it later. You could catch it another time. That's the idea behind it. Before I even start the list, move over, Michael. I do not want to take any place of Michael Bay. All right. And yes, Phil, I also love the Jaws homage. That is a classic book. It made it to a list, but it didn't make it to this list, unfortunately. But we're going to talk a little bit about that shark. Yeah. Let's kick it off and with number 10. Number 10, The Deadly Tales of the Gunslinger Spawn, number 1. This is the Todd McFarlane, as everybody likes me to say it. 1 in 50 black and white variant. This book just came out. Near mint value of this book is $128 with a fair market value of $112. There's no reported slabs at the moment. It's number 9 in Key Collector, number 10 in CBSI, and number 7 in Cover Price. The sales volumes is actually not so high. It's at 18%. Hype level, it's Spawn. So I don't, Spawn has a following. And this is a Todd McFarlane cover. So
yeah, I had this one in my hand when it came out, not the black and white, but the regular colored version of his cover. And I looked at it, and in my attempt to lower my weekly bill, I put it back. But maybe I'll pick it up this week.
Yeah, and the color edition is still pretty inexpensive. You could pick that one up in the shop anywhere. It's the 1 in 50 that people are clamoring for because it is a black and white piece. I like it. I think it's pretty dope. Whenever you see Todd McFarlane doing a piece, and he's drawing a horse, so this is our first animal of the list. There's a horse.
Well, that's true. If anybody's interested too, I know that I picked it up. Knights versus Samurai, I believe issue 1 is a black and white Todd cover as well. That's probably a little bit easier to find than this one if you're after that sort of thing.
So that's our first book in this list, Deadly Tales of the Gunslinger Spawn, number 1. Our next book is The Spectre of issue 54. This came out in 1997 over at DC Comics. The last recorded sale was at $340 for 9.8. The fair market value of this book is $143 at near mint, with $374 at a 9.8. So that last recorded sale got a pretty good deal. This is not on Key Collector, nor is it on CBSI, but it is on cover price, and the sales volume is 29%. The hype level of this book is at a medium. You know anything about this book?
Yeah, you know what? This is another one we've talked about Spectre before, but this is one where I have most of this run, but I don't have this one. And this is Mr. Terrific, his first appearance, and with the trailer for the new Superman, or the teaser trailer, I guess. That's kind of what's driving this book up.
Absolutely. So this book is, as you mentioned, is the first appearance of the current Mr. Terrific. I believe there's more before that, but the current Mr. Terrific is the one we're talking about, and it's the one that has been placed in, or has been placed. You hear the way I'm saying that? The one that is in the new Superman trailer. So this is the first book from the Superman trailer books that we're going to be seeing soon. All right. So we got a question here from Jean Grey. I did not know Jean Grey was a YouTuber.
That's awesome.
Right? And that question is Apocalypse versus Doomsday. What's your answer? I know my answer already. I already have my choice.
That's a tough one. I think I'd go with Apocalypse.
I agree. Only because he thinks, where Doomsday
he's got everything planned out.
He's a killing machine. So I may be wrong on that, but you guys let me know. So interesting question. Thank you, Gene. Let's go to number 8. Superwoman Special number 1. This book we've seen before last week. Is the 1 in 25 Mark Spears variant. This is at $75 near mint. It's actually dropped a bit from last week. $81 near mint, with a 9.8 going for $70. It is not on Key Collector, but it was number 6 on CBSI, number 20 at cover price. The sales volume of this book is at 41%, and the hype level is medium. I think Mark Spears is starting to, I think we're starting to see it dwindle down a bit. So this overall hype of Mark Spears' books is trickling to other books rather than his monsters books.
Yeah, I think so too. This and this cover, ratios are so tough. I was talking about it before we started with a different book, but you just don't know. They're more of a gamble than most books, especially for me anyway. My store usually charges whatever it is or more. So if it's a 1 in 50, it's at least $50. So it's a gamble.
Yeah, it's still a great book. I love his logo. He has this way of drawing his colors is really what stands out when it comes to Mark Spears.
Yeah,
books.
for sure. I agree.
Okay. All right. So everybody's already answering. So far, everybody's picking Apocalypse on this little poll here that Gene has started. And what's going on, Joffrey Castro? What's up, my man? All right. Let's take a look at the next book in our list, and that's number 8. And it's another Mark Spears. It's Thundercats Apex number 1. This is from Dynamite. Just came out. $25 near mint value. $25 is the fair market value. There's currently no reported slabs right now. The trendy list, it's 6 in Key Collector, 7 in CBSI, not in cover price at the moment. It also has a sales volume of 41%. And just like before, the hype level of this book is at a medium. So did you get to learn a little bit about this book? Because I did learn some stuff about this book this week.
Yeah. The only thing that I've seen is that it's potentially the future version of Lion-O. And sorry, Thundercats fans, if I messed that up, but Thundercats fans, don't mess with them, because clearly, like, they're driving some huge variants, and lots of them, and in this book as well.
Yeah, and this book has this rare occasion that it has two meanings right now, 2 reasons for Spec, right? The first Spec is Mark Spears variant because of how hot Mark Spears has been, but now you have like a secondary part of it where I think that will have more longevity than the Mark Spears variant part of it, because this is a future rendition of Lion-O, an older version of Lion-O we learned from this book. So it's still a great cover, and I ended up getting the Pirello cover. I didn't get the Mark Spears cover. I probably should have, but I ended up getting the Pirello cover, which I think is a beautiful cover as well.
I think there's still a lot in this Mark Spears Because some of the covers, like there's a new one this week, and I messaged like comic store and was like, "Hey, are you getting this?" And he just laughed at me because it's and I'm
Just
like,
like
"Oh,
that.
okay." So there's still like a market for them, but I
Mhm.
do think you're right that it is quieting down some as more and more of his covers start to hit the market.
Yeah, and people are starting to go back to his older stuff that he's
Yeah,
had out there. So they're looking at those books. Let's go to number 6 in our list, and that is it's Jeff, number
it's your
1.
boy.
That's my boy Jeff. 2023 came out. $40 near mint is the last sold. It's for $54 on fair market, $53 and 9.8. Again, that's a little bit of an outlier to me where the the, the near mint outperforms the slab. I think that's going to change over time.
Yeah,
But as of right now, you could buy slab cheaper than you could buy the comic book.
yeah, and you know what? I don't know how many appearances Jeff had before this book came out. We're going
Mhm.
to talk more
He
about
has a
the
few.
early
He has a
ones.
few. Yeah,
Yeah,
he does
but
have a
this
few.
to me, this cover, like it kind of is a better illustration than definitely his first cover,
Mhm.
which we talked about last week. And, kind of it portrays more of what you're going to get if you read the inside, in my opinion.
Yes, and this is the Jeff that we've come to know. So the first time we see Jeff, which we're going to talk about a little later, he looked more like a shark than he
Yeah.
did this animated cartoony version of a shark. Um, so he's definitely evolved within this short amount of time that he's been around. Um, as far as the trending list goes, it's not on Key Collector, it's not on CBSI, it's number 8 on Cover Price. The sales volume of this book is at 36%. That means it's still selling, and Jeff is still hot right now.
Yeah.
He is very hot.
Marvel
So,
Rivals.
mhm.
Again, when I talk to my kids, it's like they know who this character is. Even though they've read the books, they know him more now because of that. Even my 19-year-old,
Mhm.
you know, knows about Jeff.
Yeah, exactly. And check it out. Flo Dameron's name is Jeff. My name
Oh,
is
there
Jeff.
you go.
My son loves him. I'm sure. I love Jeff. I don't care what people says. I love Jeff. I admit
Hmm.
it. Let's take a look at number 5. It's Jeff. The Jeff verse issue number 1. This is the book that came afterwards in same year. $6 near mint was the last sale, and its fair market value is at $14. Check this out. A 9.8 goes for $27 at the moment.
How's that even possible?
Ex-
I
People
mean,
weren't specking on Jeff.
yeah.
That's
this is the
that's how that's possible.
this is the book that when I started to see Jeff everywhere, every time I opened up a comic thing, I searched my collection in CLZ, and I have this one. So I was like, oh, good, at least I have this one. And then it showed up on the list. I'm like, yes.
It's like I'm rich. I'm rich. Um, as far as the trending list goes, it's not on Key Collector nor is it on CBSI. It is number 3 on Cover Price, and the sales volume of this book is at 73%. That's a great sales volume of the book, as well as the hype level is high for this book. Again, both It's Jeff and It's Jeff the Jeff verse are collections of Infinite Comics. So the Infinite Comics, which are the digital comics, they decided to collect them into these, I guess you could call them volumes. And the first one it's Jeff, and then the second one it's the Jeff verse. They're really cool, fun, all age stories. Really, they're targeted towards younger kids, because there's most of them don't have words. It's just pictures and illustrations, and it's just a fun. Like this is one story where he's doing laundry. That's what we're talking about here.
Yeah.
Those kind of books.
Yeah, they're super easy to enjoy. And, as they get to be more stories, I'm sure that they'll release some kind of trade or something,
Mhm.
and that'll do really well.
Yeah. The immortal Biggie Shack's in the house. What's going on, Biggie Shack? Happy holidays to you too, my friend. Okay, let's take a look at what's number 4. and it's another animal,
Another animal.
another pet, and that is Superman 680. This came out back in 2008 for DC Comics. The last sale was $37 near mint. Fair market value of this book is $14 at a very fine. 9.8 was going for $125. This book is not on Key Collector because I'll explain in a minute. It's number 3 on CBSI. It's number 1 on cover price. Sales volume is 44%. The hype level of this book is, if there was something that I could say higher than high, that's what this book would be. This is at an all-time high of all the books. Exactly. So this is a modern day appearance for Krypto the Super Dog. And Shane, you got to tell me why Krypto's on this list.
Well, I was going to ask you what you thought about the trailer. That's where it's from. The trailer for the new James Gunn Superman movie dropped. And clearly, you know, if you haven't watched it, I mean, I'm pretty sure everybody that reads comics has already watched it at least once. There's a key moment in it where Krypto saves the day type of thing. And I wanted to know what you thought about the trailer, because I'm sure you have some thoughts.
I loved it. I absolutely loved it. I thought it is everything I want a comic book movie to look like. You have some supporting characters. You have some side characters, which I'm sure will just make cameo appearances. They won't be in the full movie, and the movie's not focused on them. What I do know that a lot of people are fearful is, how is James Gunn going to handle so many characters? And my answer is, he'll be fine. He's done the Guardians.
Yeah. Anybody watch that one?
Right.
He'll be okay.
He did it 3 times.
Yeah.
So I honestly believe he's going to be fine with it. I think what he's trying to do is he's trying to do something that hasn't really been seen in this kind of world. And what's really hasn't been seen is a true movie that looks like a comic book. And that's my impression of it. I'm with you, Joe, but I don't care. I love me some Krypto. And I think having Krypto in this movie is trying to set a tone that wasn't there. We're coming away from the Snyderverse, from the Man of Steel version, which was more of a serious, dark tone to the DC universe. I never liked that universe. I was fine with it. I wasn't a fan of it in that way because I didn't feel like Superman was a dark character to begin with. So
yeah, I really liked elements, and I loved Henry's performance in that. But I'm really looking forward to seeing what James Gunn, and I mean, just imagine the pressure that he's under, just personally, I would even say, not even from outside sources, because he knows like what people
make it or break it.
Yeah.
Exactly. The only thing I think, I don't know how the logo's gonna work. It's there, but as we know, the typical S shield is so iconic that I'm a little concerned that it's not in this movie. But I'm fine with it as is. At least I know what the logo comes from originally.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Let's see. It's all about Krypto and not Krypto. As if I didn't hear that one before. All right. The only ID change that isn't even Superman. I want to. You know what? I think Kyle Ratner deserves to be somewhere else, and I think the choice of Guy there's a good reason why Guy's the character in this one. So that's my take on that. All right.
I'd love to see them play into the more of that early or 80s Justice League Guy Gardner. That was
well, in case you didn't know, Sean Gunn is also part of the movie, and he's playing Maxwell Lord. So I think that's why you see Guy there instead of any other version of the Green Lanterns. All right, let's take a look at what's number 3, and that is Captain America 180. This book came out way back in 1974 for Marvel Comics. The last recorded sale of this book was $35 at a fine, and $33 its current fair market value. 9.4s are going for about $237. This book is number 1 on Key Collector. It's number 1 on CBSI. It's not listed in cover price. And the reason why it's not listed in cover price is because kind of Krypto pushed everybody to the side. The sales volume of this book is 72%. And now I have to say the hype level is high for this book. This book is very important. However, I don't know what's my overall thoughts on how this book's going to perform long term.
Yeah, and it has another animal in it.
And what would that animal be? A falcon?
Oh, the falcon. He's right there on the cover, even.
Okay, that's a technicality. All right, but what do you think about this one? This is when Steve Rogers dons the costume of No Man. Do you believe that this is going to, I guess you could say, pan out in the end of it, at the end of it all?
I don't know if they'll go with something that's not as recognizable as a different version of a dark cap or something like that. This to me seems a little bit too far into the comic land for the Marvel universe type movies.
Mhm. I agree because this book came out in the height of when John Walker became Captain America, and Captain America quit, Steve Rogers quit. We're not getting that right now. We don't have that kind of story going on in the MCU, so I don't know how it would fare in the MCU. I don't see him taking a mantle of No Man, especially when everybody knows it's Captain America. It didn't work. It didn't really work then as it did now. So, though the hype is high, I think this is one of those. I don't think it's going to cash out.
Yeah,
My personal opinion.
they want the big reveal as him and a villain, and we're probably going to get that. But it's going to be more of some kind of darker version of Captain America
Mhm.
that'll be easily recognizable as, okay, that's Captain America, but not a good one.
Yeah, like the last week we had the Captain America Hail Hydra
Yeah,
version of. I think that's more of a possibility than this one.
yeah, because they've already established Hydra. He'll have the Hydra logo on his shield, and
Mm-hmm.
everybody will instantly know what that means.
Mm-hmm. So, Comic Versus letting us know this is 123 issues before the issue. Well, yeah, I get that, but I'm trying to say where we're starting to we're gonna see some of those books in a little bit. What I'm saying is that he's donned the mantle of nomad because he was a man without a country kind of mentality, that as I remember. But then again, this book is before my time, so let's go with number 2 in our list. We're going back to Jeff. Got to go back to Jeff. Now, this was number 2 last week as well, so this has stayed in its place. West Coast Adventures, issue number 7. This book came out in 2019 for Marvel. It currently sold for $200 near mint, and the fair market value of this book has went up to $193 near mint, while 9.8 also have gone up to $396. This book was number 2 on Key Collector. It was not on CBSI, but it was number 10 in cover price. Now, what has taken this book to keep its number 2 status really was its sales volume at 54%, as well as its hype at a high. This book is hot.
Yeah, this is amazing. This is one of those stories of you want to be just as it's hitting, and you go to the store and you search the dollar bins, and you could probably find 20 copies of this.
Mm-hmm.
And now here we are. It's amazing, really.
Yeah, and they reported just under 15,000 copies, so I would say that's kind of like a fair amount of books that are out there. However, because this book is going for about $200, that is driving the ranking system. As I told you guys before, my ranking system is not just based on the trending list. It's also based on the price of a book. It's based on the sales of the book. So that's why this book is at number 2 in this list. But I will say this is the first appearance of Jeff, not as we know him, but as he was originally intended to be. It's kind of similar to, I guess you could say, a Deadpool's first appearance, where Deadpool, though he looked like Deadpool, his overall demeanor, character, what we would come to know him for, doesn't happen too much later
Yeah.
in his run. Fun fact: Chuck Norris fears Chad. You know what, Tony? Stick around, and we'll talk a little bit about Chuck Norris later. That's a funny thing to say. Ooh, Comic Caps has this one. Rich, I need this book. This is one of those books that I want. So let's talk. All right. What's
Sell
up,
high.
Rich? Yo, hello all. We're saying ho today. All right, West Coast Avengers number 2, the one that came out back in 2019, is at number 2. It is now time for the number 1 book of the week, and it's the same book as last week, Ultimate Universe 1 Year in number 1. This is the spoiler variant featuring the all-new Ultimate Wolverine. Came out not that long ago. The record sales, the last recorded sale was $9. Fair market of this book is $16. 9.8s are now starting to be sold at $58. It's not on Key Collector, but it was number 2 on CBSI, number 6 in cover price. And what really drove this back to number 1 was its sales volume, which is at 237%, which puts it on the hype level of a high.
This book, I love it. I got lucky, got a second copy, so I'm pretty happy with that of this cover. And everybody is kind of, well, I am anyway, waiting for that Ultimate Wolverine number 1 to come out and see if it lives up to the hype that this is experiencing now. And everybody kind of wants it to, but we'll see.
I think this, first of all, as we mentioned last week, Barry Windsor Smith homage cover is phenomenal. I also believe that he looks so damn cool. You know what I mean? They did a good job with the orange and black, with the color scheme that they did for him. The muzzle has that, mystery to him. We're getting a Wolverine that's mysterious again. I kind of missed that in Wolverine, where we didn't know his whole origin back then. We knew a few things here and there, but we didn't know the full story. Once we got that, it kind of watered him down and diluted him a little bit.
Yeah, selfishly, I'm hoping they keep him a Canadian.
But I'm sure. He's also the Winter Soldier in this one. So, all right. Black Spiders, what's going on, my boy? Happy holidays. I'll definitely talk to you sometime this week. All right. And Merry Christmas. To Biggie Shaq's points, the previews are doing good too. Yes, they are.
I've got 3 of those. So
I said it. I said this is a hot book. Just hold on to your previews.
Yeah.
And people are like, oh, why am I going to hold on to previews? Trust me, hold on to your previews. If Miles Morales says anything, hold on to your previews. It's not going to be the same price as the other book, as probably this one's going to be. But a previous book is the first. It sometimes has some value to it.
Yeah, I agree.
Right. So there you have it, guys. That's the list for this week. As I ask you all the times, tell me what you think of this ranking system. Which books do you have? Share your thoughts in the comments in the videos, and let's stay tuned for next week, which will be the last trending list of 2024. I guarantee you we're gonna see a dog in that list.
For sure.
You know what I'm saying? We're definitely gonna see a dog in that list.
Yeah.
So Shane, before we get to the next part of the show, tell me what's going on in your channel. I know you just put a video up.
Yeah, so I just did a video with a friend of mine. She's a new collector. I've known her probably 4 or 5 years. And so I just thought it was interesting to kind of get her take on some comics and what she's into and how she discovered it, because we all know we're diehards, we're way into the hobby, but the hobby needs to have fresh people into it. And, I was really curious to hear what she thought. And so I posted that one today. And, I'm on my way to trying to get myself up to 500 subscribers. So I'm working my way there. So if anybody's here, check out my channel. If you like it, subscribe or leave a comment. I love talking about comics. So
yeah, if anybody who has a blue wrench could put on Shane's link, please do so. I got to make sure I put it on the description on the videos as well, but I don't know who reads descriptions anymore.
Yeah, I have a long description that I post in every single video or short, and I'm like, does anybody even read these things? I mean, I do. Like, I read other people's, but I don't know if anybody else does.
So, all right. Bah humbug. You know, it would be Joe to be a Scrooge, wouldn't it? I got the first 3 in Red Hood Outlaws. Okay, good for you. 0 goes hard. I'm not sure what that means, but all right. So it's that time where we go into and we look at what was the top books a month ago, 2 months ago, 3 months ago. This is what I call 30, 60, 90. Let's take a look at this list. All right, 30, 60, 90. We're going to take a look at a couple of books that we've actually talked about before because that's just how this is the nature of this segment's going to work. We're always going to return to some of these books. But there is a book that we haven't spoken about before that we're going to talk about in a couple of seconds, really, and 2 books that we've looked at in the past that we're going to see how they're performing now as opposed to the way they did a few months ago. Let's get started with the first book here, and that's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Naruto. The X is silent, #1. And this came out. This is actually a new book. This is not that old. It was new when it came out in November 25th of 2024. The book had a top weekly sale of $15. There was 41 units sold that week, and there was a growth of 203%. The Raws were going for $12 near mint, while slabs were already being pre-sold at $60. What's your knowledge on Naruto? I'm pretty sure you're familiar with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Yeah.
But
Busy. If I had a nickel for every time I hear the word Naruto in my house, I would be able to buy a giant size X-Men 1. I'm just telling you that now. Like, all my kids.
You're the expert now.
Well, I just hear them talk about it. I got 3 kids, and they have Naruto shirts. They watch Naruto. They read Naruto stuff. They're all into anime. And I think, again, this is one of those books that, kids hear about it or it gets advertised and they see the name Naruto and they will buy it. And I think that's part of the reason why it's doing so well.
And then you throw a little team called the Turtles in there.
Exactly.
And you have a nice little, team up with 2 very popular characters. The Turtles have been popular for 30 years now, over 30 years. Naruto's been around. He's been around. He's not new. He's been around. I think he's gained a little more popularity now, but he's been out there for quite some time now. This is one of those books that I remember when it came out. This is a David Nakayama cover. There's also a rare 1 in 50, I think 1 in 100 as well, that's gaining some momentum as well. This book is it's a pretty good book. It looks great. That cover looks great. And it's just one of those books that I personally like. I actually, you know what? This cover is done by Jorge Jimenez. I'm stand corrected, but there is a David Nakayama cover. So let's go ahead and take a look at the performance of this book today, as opposed to what it was when it first came out about a month ago. So let's go ahead and present that slide. All right. So Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Naruto #1 by Jorge Jimenez. That's the cover A. There are several other covers, but let's take a look at the performance values. This book is currently going for about $10 now near mint, so it's actually dropped in value. However, near mint are going for about $12 raw. The 9.8 also has dropped a little bit, about $3. So it's leveled, I'll say. Right. So talking about covers, not going to go over them. There are 49 variants for this book.
Yeah.
Welcome.
Yeah, crazy.
Do we really need that many variants?
We could have a whole conversation on if you think that the number of variants that get produced hurts or helps the comic market as a whole. I mean, that's a lot of variants.
That is definitely a lot of variants. Just look at this. And don't get me wrong, variants are I don't hate on variants. I just think they're overexposed sometimes. And this is the reason. Like it's the same book.
Yeah,
It's all the same book. And do we really need that many variants?
yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
you know. So last known sale of this book was at 9.8 at $60. That was way back in October 11th. Um that means this book is a $60 book no matter what. Across the border, it has not dipped, it hasn't risen really. It's just stayed at that $60 marker. Um Same thing with the raws. The raws are $12. So it's not an expensive book. If we take a look at the sales data and the sales performance of this book, and that's what we look at right here, and we're only looking at cover A, we're not going to look at the rest of them. There's 120 sales, and it's still performing. So all these figures that you're seeing right here, I'm just going to go right and I'm going to stop it right around here. All this is within the last 30 days.
yeah. Which
That's
is amazing considering there's 49 different variants.
Mhm. And
I mean,
this is all for cover A.
yeah,
So out of all 120 sales, you have a good amount, and those are your near mints. And because it's a new book, you don't really have any other types of sales like that. However, when slabs go, I don't think there's as many slabs for this book. We only have 2 recorded sales. So it's the raws that are selling.
should start to see some more slabs coming in the next couple of months, I'd say.
I think so, but I also believe this is one of those books that, like you said it, the kids are probably buying it.
Yeah,
And if the kids are buying it, I don't see them slabbing them, if that
yeah,
makes
agreed.
sense. So there you have it. Naruto, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Naruto, #1. Let's get back to this list here. And we're going to go to our next book here. Now, this is a book we have spoken about before, and that is Vampirella 672, the New York Comic Con variant. This book came out back. This book was on the list on October 28th, week 4. Had a top weekly sale of $200 near mint, and it sold 41 units. Had a growth of 78%. Raws were going for about $170, while slabs were going at $169 at a 9.8. Um, Now that it's been 2 months, what is your overall thought today of this book before we even look at the numbers?
This is one of those ones that when you go to a Comic-Con from now on, you're going to see this graded on the wall, and it's going to have a huge price on it, and it's like a booth attractor. I love Will Jack's art, so I'm glad that this book hit. I don't know. I think that there's not a whole lot of copies in circulation of this book, which is also going to help it maintain its value for sure.
Mhm. Here's something I'm immediately noticing. The raws are going for 170. And the slab was going for 169,
Yeah, it's so strange.
right? Um Also, the top weekly sale was 200. Now, this is the numbers it was performing back in October, not the numbers today. So let's take a
Yep.
look at the numbers today and how it's performing as of today. So let's go back here and we're going to.
I have a really great Will Jack cover of Poison Ivy 1 that if people love his art, if they look into that, I just did a little short on it that came out today. But if you love his art, great stuff can be found.
Mhm. So as of today, 9.8 is going for 275. That was the last sale. Meanwhile, near mints are going for 180, and 9.8s, the most common, are averaging out about 219. That being said, within the 2-month period, this book has increased in cost and value. That's a good thing.
Yeah. Yeah, by
It's
quite a bit
definitely
too.
mhm, significantly, right? Um, there are many variants of this book, but this book is a little different than the variants as we mentioned. Now, the last known sale was $275, and that also is the highest known value of the book. That's important to note that this book is selling at its highest point at the moment. So that means it'll eventually have to cool down.
Right. And where will it be in 30 more days? Well, it'll be
Mhm.
interesting to see.
Yep, we'll definitely talk about it in a month's time. I'm guarantee you we will. Let's take a look at how many sales are actually happening. So the last known sales I'm seeing here in Near Mint Plus happened back in October. The Near Mint, however, they sold in November. So the last known sale happened back in November 23rd. That's what this one is, and that everything that came to follow. So this book was selling really during that time rather than now. About a month ago, it was selling. So there's no real recorded sales of the raws. I wanna I wanna say slabs may be a little bit different. So let's take a look at that. Which yeah, that's what I thought. What we're seeing now is the slabs performing. So the one that sold for 275 really just a couple of days ago, that was a 9.8. And before that, a 9.8 sold for 169. That was November 28th. So just a couple of almost a month ago. And it's pretty much the same thing with it. So this one sale put it over the top.
Yeah. And there's just not a lot of them out there. And I think as they kind of come to market, we'll see what's going to settle at, if it's going to kind of level down a little bit or go for more.
Yeah, it is 500 copies.
Yeah.
And let's be honest, it's not selling because of Vampirella, even though people like Vampirella. It's that it's just the image.
Yeah.
It's rather risque.
It was a perfect storm. It's New York Comic Con. It's
Mhm,
limited uh, print. Great artist. Great cover. Like the cover, the colors, and all of that.
mhm.
Very striking. Besides the image itself, but just the layout of it. It's just stands out.
I agree, and it it's just New York Comic Con does that, right? So when this book was on sale in New York Comic Con, it was sold by day one. By day one, it was gone. There was no more. They were completely gone by morning of that Thursday morning when Comic Con opened. So there was a preview sale on Wednesdays, and they were being sold then. But then by Thursday morning, this book was gone. By noon, it was done. There was no more.
Yeah.
Mhm. So and 500 copies is a small amount of books.
Oh yeah.
Mhm. Right. So that was the book that we talked about before. We've also talked about the next book, which we're going to continue to talk about it, and that is Mark Spears Monsters #1. This is the Bridezilla variant. This is from Keenspot. Even though there is a Kickstarter version, and I think that's the one that people should really start searching for. This book was on back in September. It was #1 book on September 23rd. Had top weekly sales of $30. Weekly units sold were 42%. 42, I said 40. Weekly units sold were 42, had a growth of 287%. The most common raws were at $20 near mint, and at that press time, there were no slabs. Do you
Yeah.
think we're
And
going to have a change?
I'm really looking forward to when issue 3 comes out, because now we're outside of where people could be shocked by Mark Spears covers.
Mhm,
Everybody knew about the book in the FOC for issue 3, and I know I ordered 2 and I didn't order any of the other ones. So
mhm.
it's going to be interesting to see what happens with that issue 3, and I think that'll kind of indicate how strong the market is for his stuff.
Yeah. And again, this is when the book first came out. Okay. So we're looking at a book here that at this press time in September was totally new to everybody. And
Yeah.
this was the start of the Mark Spears train. Now we're a couple of months into the hype of Mark Spears, and he's still really hot.
Oh yeah.
Um, excuse me. He's still really hot. So let's take a look at this book now and how it's performed since then. So the last recorded sale of this book is at $200.
Wow.
Now that's one hell of a multiplier,
Oh yeah.
right? The most
That's
common
10
raws,
times.
exactly. The most common raws are $197. Now slabs are being sold, and the slabs are at $396. That's $4 away from $400.
That's amazing.
That's a 2-month period.
Those Mark Spears fans that are hardcore that had this book are ringing the bank machine right now.
Right? There's tons of variants, but if we look here, the book's highest sales was at November 22nd at $430. So it has dipped about $30, but that's not really a dip. That's just someone it was probably a bid or something like that.
Yeah, and again, this is similar to the other one where the graded ones are starting to flow in. Everybody's getting their submissions back. I know in Canada, because the postal strike was on, I'm sure there's a ton of sellers that had them stuck on the way here. So we're going to start to see again where this is going in the next little while.
And we look at the sales of performance. Let's see if it's been selling the last couple of days. So we have a sale that happened back on the 8th, November 30th, the 28th, the 10th. So it's starting to quiet down, but look at here. All these are December figures. All these sales are sales that were done in the month of December. So this book is still pretty hot, right? If we look at the slabs are always less. But if you see the slabs, we see that there was a sale here. There was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sales for 9.8. Somebody got it for $350. So it's selling.
Yeah.
The book is selling. And I don't know how long this Mark Spears train is gonna last though. And will he crash? That's my next question. Will we get to the point that we have oversaturation?
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, especially with this series, like what's the next thing he's going to do that is his own instead of a cover?
Yeah. So there you have it, guys. First of all, I want to say thank you to the guys over at Cover Price for helping us out with this information. Here's a little video for you guys. Okay. Whew. Yep. Thank you to the fellows at Cover Price. Again, if you use the promo code IZZYVERSE, you can get $1.99 off of 30 days of premium service. I personally love it. I'm not just saying that. I use it all the time, as you can see.
Yeah. I love it too. I use it as well. Like when you link it with your CLZ, which is what I use for my main database for almost 17,000 comics, it's amazing. Amazing.
Agree entirely. Whew, it's time. We're at the 1 hour marking period. We're doing good on time. Maybe. I think this is going to take us over the hump, right?
Yeah.
Okay. For those of you who are still watching, I do plan on doing something fun for some kind of giveaway. I have a giveaway idea that I'm going to try out soon. So stay tuned for that. It's going to be happening shortly. But it's time to talk about the Creator Spotlight. This is the segment that I think most people love. I did a poll a little while back, and most people absolutely love Creator Spotlight. They think it's the best segment out of the show. So thank you all for it. I got to say what's up to Bobby De La Ghetto. What's up, my homie? All right. And Black Spot, my mom won't let me read that book. Are you talking about the Vampirella? I know Joe is. All right. So
Yeah,
we
if you're
talked about
watching,
creative.
if
Yeah.
you're watching this, spread the word out about this segment. Izzy does a great job with this. He puts a lot of work into it. I can tell from being in behind the scenes. So, get on your socials and spread the word about the show.
Mhm.
I know that we'd both appreciate it, but I know that the level of work that Izzy puts into this is a lot. So we enjoy it.
Thank you so much for the kind words. It's time to do it. Let's get to it. The segment most people have been asking for, and that is the creator spotlight. Again, let's take a look at who we're going to be spotlighting this week. It had to happen, didn't it?
Yes. Yes.
So we did a poll, and in the poll
Yes.
I asked what 80s legend do you want to see in creator spotlight? And the people in the comic book community, my friends in the comic book community, all they wanted was Mike Zeck, and they didn't want me to do a poll. They just wanted me to do Mike Zeck. They were harassing me. They were threatening me. They were doing all sorts of things. So I told them I'm putting it in the poll, and they said, "How dare you put in the poll?" Because the poll had some other great talent in it.
Oh yeah.
And
Yeah.
there was one moment where they had to say, "No, we got to put it at Mike Zeck, and we got to stop it." So we stopped it at a certain approach, but the poll is at 90 plus right now. It's not Mike Zeck at the moment, but I promise you I will do the other individuals that are in that poll as well, because all of them deserve a creator spotlight. Every single one of them.
Oh yeah.
But this week we got to focus on Mike Zeck. Before we start talking about Mike Zeck, Shane, we talked a little bit about his career and some of the things he's done. Tell me your memories of Mike Zeck books and stuff like that.
So again, as I usually do once I find out, I go into my CLZ and I bring it up and I check to see, you can sort it by artist and cover artist. There's a little link in it that you can do that. And I have, I think, 35 books. So not as many as I thought. So, but to me, that just signifies how meaningful each one or his art was, because there's so few covers, but everybody knows his name. So for me, the big one was Secret Wars and Craven. Those were my two big books that because I collected Amazing Spider-Man, and then seeing and not really knowing about artists at that point, but because it was consistent across the issues pretty much of that Craven Last Hunt, just being like, I loved it. I just flipped through it again and just was like, oh my God, this is amazing. I love this story.
I will agree with you when it comes to Mike Zeck. I think he's one of those artists that he was never put in like the top artist of the year. He was never done that because there was always others that overshadowed him during his time, like John Byrne or George Perez, Arthur Adams, to name a few. But what was great about him was his consistency, and he had some amazing covers. His work on Punisher, Shang-Chi, his covers on G.I. Joe, all of them. So it is a beautiful portfolio of art to see there. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. And if anybody's interested, they can go over to my Instagram because I sent you the pictures as well. It's a little Batman Mike Zeck spotlight from his time when he did art on there. And it's all pretty giant sized pictures. And this is not expensive to get, but the pictures I posted them, and just amazing composition for sure.
Awesome. All right. Let's go ahead and take a look at the life of Mike Zeck. Mike Zeck shown artistic talent early, studying at Wrigley School of Art before becoming a legendary artist for Marvel and DC. His iconic Craven's Last Hunt with J.M. DeMatteis and Bob Mikkeled is regarded as a definitive Craven Kraven the Hunter story, and one of Spider-Man's greatest tales. If there's an echelon of what's the best Spider-Man stories, Kraven's Last Hunt is definitely on top of it, on top of
Yeah,
that list.
it's way up there.
Right. Zex helped define the Punisher with Circle of Blood, created with Steve Grant and John Beatty, and designed Spider-Man's black costume in Secret Wars, leading to Venom's creation. His striking visuals, including collaborations with Phil Zimmelman, remain iconic in comic history. Zek's work has graced Captain America, Batman, G.I. Joe, among others. His influence endures through collected editions and merchandise, inspiring fans and artists worldwide. To find more Mike Zeck's art and body of work, visit www.mikezeck.com. He also has a Facebook page at Michael J. Zeck. He doesn't really have a Instagram. There is an Instagram for his name, but I believe it's a dummy Instagram or one that he doesn't really use because I think there was like 12 posts. There wasn't really anything in there. So I decided to go with his Facebook page, which I think is what he used more. Mike Zeck's kind of a recluse. He hasn't really been doing much lately. However, we are going to see some of his later work here because there are stuff he's done recently. I know you had something, you showed something to me earlier that he's done, and we'll talk a little bit more. But let's go ahead and start with the very beginning. That is the Savage Sword of Conan #2. This came out in 1974 from Marvel Comics. It has a fair market value of $24, very good. $82 at 9.4. This book last sold for $79 at 8.4. And this is his first published interior art.
Wow, that's awesome.
Not expensive.
No.
We're going back to these books that are not expensive.
Yeah, like when I searched up in CLZ, I've won, my earliest one is 76, and it's Many Ghosts of Dr. Graves, and that's a $3 book. And
yeah, that's actually a book we're going to get to in a minute.
Oh, okay, great.
But this one, what's different about this one as opposed to the other ones is that it's not your traditional comic book. So it's his first published interior art. It's for the magazine size Conan the Barbarian. Well, really Savage Sword of Conan. There was Conan the Barbarian and Savage Sword. And this is kind of where his career started. It started with these books that no one really heard of, but Conan was popular enough that he managed to get in there as well. So 1974, man.
Yeah.
That's when he started.
Amazing.
Our next book here, I mentioned this book last week when I was doing some research with a couple of friends of mine. Wheelie and the Chopper Bunch #2. 1975 for Charlton Comics. $5. No known slabs. And the last time it sold, it actually sold in November for $27, and it's his first standard comic. So this is a first actual comic.
To predate the Cars guys, I think he could probably get some royalties for that. That's what it reminds me of.
Mm-hmm. Hey, it's quite possible. It is a Hanna-Barbera project. So this is a licensed project. So I don't know what he would get. But seriously, this is his first comic book, his actual regular comic book.
Oh, I love
it's
these.
$5.
Yeah. Great. Amazing.
Mm-hmm. So, and again, this is part of the reason why I love doing this show is to be able to see comics that have some historic value, but yet nominal value they don't really have. So I wish they would grow in nominal value. More people will go at it.
I've said it before. This is an area of the comic market that not a lot of people really tend towards yet, with artists' first book, first cover, first interiors, first run on books, stuff like that, which I love doing that.
Mm-hmm. All right. This is the one you were talking about, which is The Many Ghosts of Dr. Graves, issue 56, another Charlton book that came out in 1976. You said it, $3.
Yeah.
It's
the one
his
I
first cover.
Yeah, the one I have is 59, so we just did the interior of that one, but this is a way better pick for sure. I'd love to find this one.
Yeah. Well, if you find it, $3.
$3.
How can you go wrong with that?
Yeah. These are the type of books that it's more fun in the search than the value. That's where it's the thrill of the hunt type of thing.
And I'm sure when you go to cons, I would say like Heroes Con's probably a good example. Someone knows about this book, but many people don't. And therefore, it keeps the price of that book low. When it's not in demand, the price goes down. When it's in demand, the price goes up. So again, when people start recognizing, hey, that's a Mike Zack, it's worth having just to say you have it. And as you can see here, I have no recorded slabs for this book.
Yeah.
So if you find this book and you slab it, it's hey, you have a Mike Zack. Yeah,
you're making a good argument for me here, Izzy. Like I really want to try to do that now.
You have to go back to all the videos now.
I got to start making notes. That's what I got to do.
Well, the good thing is you have access to the PDF file, so you don't have to watch the videos. But I prefer if you watch the videos. Let's go to our next book in this list, and that's Masters of Kung Fu 55. This is 1977. Now we're starting to get Mike Zack in superhero comics. But it's funny because he's in a Kung Fu comic, not a superhero comic. So there's a technicality there. Another book, very below the radar as far as price goes. Fair market value of this book is at $6 fine, $46 for 9.8. So there are slabs of this book. $46 for 9.8. Take my money.
I know.
Just take it.
When you can get it below what it's going to cost you to do it yourself and it's already graded, it's a no-brainer to me.
Yeah. It is his first Master of Kung Fu interior art, so that's not his cover. But it's a Mike Zack. That's it. That's all I need to know. It's a Mike Zack book. And he stays on Masters of Kung Fu for quite some time during this time period. Absolutely. Masters of Kung Fu had great artists. Very few great artists. All right. Our next book in our list is Marvel Super Action number 7. This came out in 1978. $5. No slabs. And it last sold in December. Not that long ago. Just a couple of weeks ago. First Captain America cover art. This is a reprint of an older Captain America issue, but the cover is a Mike Zack.
I mean, again, when you search for stuff like this, like if you're a fan of his art, then this is a book that you definitely want to pick up. And for $5, I mean, how can you go wrong?
It's a cool cover too. I love it. It's a great cover with Captain America. Captain America 224. This came out in 1978. Fair market value of this book is $6. 9.8 is going for $69. And again, back in 12/17/24, it sold for $6. And this is the first official Captain America comic by Mike Zack.
Yeah, another great looking cover. It's a pose you don't usually see. He's
a defeated Captain America, right?
Yeah.
It's a great one. Here's another one that's I want to call it iconic, and that's Masters of Kung Fu issue number 86. This came out in 1980. This is where we're starting to see Mike Zack become the Mike Zack we know and love.
Yeah.
$5 for this book. A 9.4 goes for $50, and that's the fair market value. The last recorded sale of this book was $6 back in December 15th of this year. Iconic cover.
Yeah.
And then you see Zack's little signature right there underneath.
Starting to pop in there. Yep.
Yeah, it just stands out right there. I just love it. Look at the way he has the fingers, he is an artist.
Yeah.
I think that's what makes Mike Zack so great, is that he is a true artist. Not to say that he's fantastical. It's as simple as it could get, but as powerful as it could get. If that means
memorable, yeah.
Marvel Treasury Edition number 27. This came out also in 1980. It's only $28 at a fine, fair market value. And last recorded sale of this book was $21. That also happened not that long ago. Why is it important? It's a Spider-Man Hulk team up. And it's cover art by Mike Zeck. So Mike Zeck is one of those guys to me that he's one of the original cover artists from back then. Even though cover artist was still a thing at the time, he was one of those guys that was starting to get more and more work because of the way he draws.
Yeah, and I have to start picking up I always look for these treasury editions when I'm out and about because they're books that I remember seeing when I was a kid because it was oversized and it was amazing.
Oversized, yeah. Mm-hmm. Another Hulk and Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Okay. His first DC work was not what people expected, and that is the unexpected 221. Came out in 1982 for DC Comics. This book has a fair market value of only $10, and it sold back in October for $11, and it's his first DC recorded work.
Yeah, and I mean, you get a great looks like Joe Kubert cover on it too.
Yeah, it's definitely a Joe Kubert cover.
And and you get first DC interiors. And again, you find this book for $11. It's like if we could sell all these books right now, I would just buy them all, like every book we're talking about.
And you still have money in your wallet.
Yeah.
Right. What's going on, synthetic panels? And yeah, Bobby, it's definitely cool. Absolutely cool. All right, let's take a look at our next book in this list. I couldn't help myself when I saw this one. I had to throw it up, and that's Captain America 272 back in 1982. Another iconic cover. $6 fine, $72 at a 9.6. This sold for $5 not that long ago. It's the first appearance of Vermin. Vermin is a character that has some significant ties to Mike Zeck in the future.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, again, look at the composition of this cover. It's just amazing.
Mm-hmm. Right. I love covers with rats.
Hey, that could be your thing. You can go
the Rat King, you know what I'm saying? Buy all the rat covers. But he likes to draw a defeated Captain America, I've noticed.
Yes, that seems to be a trend for sure.
Great cover by Mike Zeck. Let's go to our next book here. We talked about No Man before. Now we're going to talk about him here with Captain America 282. This came out in 1983 for Marvel. Fair market value is $9 fined, $95 at a 9.8. This book sold for $7 just a couple of days ago, and it's the first appearance of Jack Monroe's Nomad, a character who he was pretty popular in the 90s for a little while and this is his first appearance, so I had to show it to you guys.
This one, like, I didn't pick up a lot of Captain America back in the day, so it's always fun seeing these covers because it's just something new that I haven't really seen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Who knows? This may potentially be a spec book someday. It was at one time, but now with all the talk of Nomad, who knows? We may see Nomad sometime in the future. He's one of those characters that I could eventually see show up in the MCU project one day. So if you find this for $10, I'm just saying, hold it.
Money.
Here's another classic cover, Captain America 286. Back in 1983, this book came out, $6 at a fine. However, this book is so popular that a 9.8 sells for $200. That is a crazy comparison. Like, it is so off balance.
Start looking for this book. That's what you need to do. And then send it. Like, look at the difference in the price. You find this in the $2 or $3 bin and give it a once over. And if you think it could make it, that's a pretty large payback.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's the cover, right? It's Deathlock, and he's targeting Captain America. This is so iconic. as far as covers go, right? To the
I
point that a fair, $6 for now, that's fine. So if you find a book that's near mid, which might be hard for a book from 1983, that might be challenging. That's why $200 at 9.8 isn't that far fetched in that way. But still, if you find a raw copy of this book at a really good condition, you're talking about a book that's well worth it in value.
Would you call this a kind of light homage to ASM 129? That's kind of the vibe I get from it.
I see that. I definitely see that. I also think this is one of those types of images that you see quite frequently. So to find out who really starts it off is hard. Even though, the ASM cover is a little different because you get full body Punisher as opposed to this one, and it does have that same concept. But either way, it's still a
Oh,
great cover.
amazing.
Mm-hmm. All right. I love Defleck's another character that in the 90s was pretty big for a while.
Yeah, for sure.
And you got yours off the stand. Cool. Good job.
Awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. Back in 83, man. That's going back. Okay, let's go to our next book here. Here's one that people are not familiar with, but this is one that's extremely expensive. Heroes Hotline magazine it's a fanzine that came out back in 1983. This is, I guess you could equate this to like Wizard magazine, things like that, where they do interviews with artists and writers. And this one features a preview of the black costume Spider-Man that predates ASM 252. This book is currently going for about $700. And in fact, a $700 book sold December 18th of this year.
Could be the most expensive Man Thing cover.
And it has nothing to do with Man Thing.
Yeah.
It was one that when I was doing my research, I said, oh, so this is the first black costume cover. Well, not cover, book. Now, of course, the $700 is pretty up there in price for interior work. So if you were to get this book slabbed, I'm one of those guys that the cover has to matter to me.
Yeah.
To know what's going on inside is kind of hard. It's kind of rough, but if you want to do it, it's your book, it's your money. You do what you want. I wouldn't slab it because I want to be able to open it up and say, look at the page right there.
Yeah. My thinking is I agree. And then, but if you can get a reproduction of this book, like a facsimile, and you can have that to look at, then for me, it's about preserving the book in the best condition you can, like beyond being in Mylar and a nice board, something like that. And that would be kind of the only reason for me personally to slab a book like this.
And this was the book that kind of started the rumors about Spider-Man, because if you remember from 252 when it says the rumors are true, this is the book that kicked it off. Yeah. And during that time, if the internet was the thing, which it was, but it wasn't available to us, I'm curious what social media will be saying about it.
Yeah, it's always interesting to look at current things or past things under the lens of if that type of thing was around.
So here's another book that I had to put in there, and that's G.I. Joe Real American Hero, issue number 24. This came out in 1984. This book goes for about $24, and the 9.8 of this book is $540. Last recorded I know, right? The last recorded sale of this book was $22, and that was on the 13th of December. The key significant, this is Mike Zeck's first cover doing G.I. Joe. He would then do multiple G.I. Joe covers afterwards. It's also the first appearance of Zartan, Firefly, and Wild Weasel.
There we go. You could count that as a rat, maybe.
Right. Mike Zeck is notorious for G.I. Joe covers. All right. We're not going to highlight all the G.I. Joe covers. I think we might do one or two more. But since this one started it, I figured it made sense to put this one up as opposed to the other ones.
Yeah, and
Everybody,
it's another great starting point. I mean, I never really got into GI Joe, but looking at this type of thing, when you can see the difference between just a raw and then a graded, it's one of those ones. If you've got it in your collection, take a look at it, or if you have multiple copies, it's a good one to get graded if you have that.
I agree. This is one that the cover is different from the interiors.
Yeah.
So I'm, that's the take on that. Now we're going to the big books. Marvel Superhero Secret Wars #1. This came out back in 1984. Fair market value of this book is $34. Very fine. $209.09.8. Last recorded sale of this book happened on just a couple of days, actually, in our December 22nd. That's not that long ago. That was yesterday.
Yeah.
It was $85.09.2. This features the first cameo appearance of the Beyonder in the White Light and voice. What's more important is it was the first line-wide crossover event series. What some people don't know about Marvel Superhero Secret Wars is that the story in itself, it's not the greatest story you've ever read. Right? It's fine. It's not awesome, I'll say. What's important to note about this was that it was part of a toy line that Marvel was able to acquire. They were able to license their characters, and so a lot of these characters ended up being part of toys. And it was the first time we get to see most of these characters as a toy. So the comic book is kind of like an association of the toy line. It's kind of an adaptation of what the toy line should be, but it was in storyline. It was one of those stories that it started with Secret Wars and it ended at Secret Wars, and that's Secret Wars.
I have a different type of take on it because I was buying this when it came out, and at the time, like I did reread it probably about 10 years ago, but I'd have to reread it again now. But I just remember my little comic brain being blown away that all these heroes were together, because I only really read Spider-Man. I knew about the other characters because in the Marvel, like, they would talk about them, but to see them all and interact, and then Spider-Man, he goes against the X-Men in this and all of that, and it was just amazing to me. So I really enjoyed it at the time, and I did enjoy it in the reread. So I'd have to read it again to kind of see how the story holds up, but I do remember loving it.
Well, this was our end game, pretty much. This was our end game, and because before movies and TV, we didn't really get crossovers. Crossovers didn't really happen, and when you had a crossover event, it meant something. This was one of those books that when you saw it, you said, "Everybody's in this book."
And if you're reading, if you read ASM when this is happening, like at the end of one issue, he's in the park and he disappears. And you're like, what the heck is going on? Like, especially because there's no social media or anything at this point. It's like, what? He's gone? Where did he go?
Yeah. And then he obviously went to Battle Worlds and all that fun stuff that came along with that. So it is a fun story. I would go back and read it again. I'm pretty sure I'll read it again. But let's talk about the big money buck. That's Marvel Superhero Secret Wars #8, 1984. Fair market value of this book is $171 at a very fine. 9.8 could go anywhere between $500 and $12. Last recorded sale was $239. Iconic cover, black costumes, origin of the symbiote, and most importantly, jazz hands.
Yeah. This book is I love this book. Again, I just bought all of the facsimiles. I'm only missing the first couple. And every time I see this cover now, it makes me laugh because I have the Canadian price variant of almost every issue. There's only a couple that I don't. And this one somehow has giant bite marks right below, like right in the middle of the spine. And I don't know how they got there, but I got to work on getting them out so I can send this book in to be graded. It just makes me laugh.
This is one of those books. I was able to pick up a copy of this book in Heroes Con. I immediately got it signed and then slabbed. And it is such a good cover.
Yeah.
Have fun with the whole jazz hands of it all, but just look at the battle behind, and then he's there like, what just happened? Why do I have this costume? Like, you clearly could tell he's like confused that he has a costume on.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of what makes this book so great. This is not the first appearance of the black costume, but seems to be the most sought after one out of the books.
And I wonder if at the time when they're doing these books, if they had an idea that it was going to hit as well as it did.
Well, as memory serves me right, I heard a little bit of the story of the costume when they were talking about the costume. The costume was not supposed to last for a long period of time. And because when the word got out that he was changing his costume, everybody's like, how dare you change an iconic costume, a perfect costume? And you know what I'm saying? Because most people considered Spider-Man's original costume as a perfect costume.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, agreed on that one.
Right? So when that came across and the word got out, people were upset, people were angry, they were writing letters, all that was happening. Excuse me. And so as editorial said, we got to get him back to the right costume. The minute the costume got out and people saw the costume, letters started coming in. We love the costume. We think it's awesome. It's beautiful. It's great. Excuse me. But so it immediately changed, and then editorial went back and said, we got to bring the costume back. So he stood with the costume for about 3 years.
Yeah. And the thing that is great that happened in ASM at that time and across the Spider books that doesn't happen as much now, I would say, is there was a mystery to it. You read every issue because it's like, what is it? Where is it from? Like, what's it doing? And then they had the Fantastic Four he went to read, and they were testing it, and Dr. Connors. Like, there was a story within the story of it, which, again, my little comic brain, like, I loved that.
And then it eventually became Venom.
Right.
So the costume got to live on.
Yeah, amazing. Just an amazing.
Great storytelling too. Great use of storytelling, I would say, for this what is a costume. Now Spider-Man has 1,001 million other costumes coming out now, so it doesn't have that same kind of excitement as this one does.
Yeah.
But this is the first time we see a new costume. It is a good costume. It's a great looking costume. What I love about it is that it still tells me it's Spider-Man. I immediately know it's still Spider-Man. Yeah. Even though we got rid of the red, we got rid of the blue, we kept the eyes, right? The way the eyes are formed, and then we made the spider emblem take up his whole chest, which I have to say, perfect.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's perfect to me.
And it was so well used in the books by the artists as well, just like him in the shadows, and you would just see the spider crest. Like, it was really well done.
Mm-hmm. All right. Moving on. Another iconic cover. Marvel Superheroes Secret Wars number 10. This book, 2 months later, sells for $26. Very fine. $229 for 9.8. 9.2 sold for $61. This is what we call iconic.
Yeah.
I purchased this book twice over the last 2 years. And both purchases are like $10 that I purchased because I love this cover that much.
Yeah. Yeah, you just flip through this whole series, the covers, they're for the most part really well done. But again, this one is one that stands out from reading it. When it came off the stands, not knowing a lot about Dr. Doom, it's just like, yeah, I want to read this. I need to know what's happening inside this book.
Yeah, he looks defeated, but he's not done. He's not finished. Right?
Yeah, and it's like, what did that to him type of thing is I remember thinking like, wow, okay, I'm in.
Yeah. We got John's Comics with Kids, easily the best Doctor Doom cover ever. I agree with you. All right. Bobby has the Mexican version,
Oh,
and
nice.
he didn't realize that the 9.8 has gone up so much. Now, there's a good reason for that. This book has gone up since they mentioned Robert Downey Jr. playing the role of Doctor Doom. People have been hunting down classic Doctor Doom books and covers, and just happens to be one of them, especially with the word Secret Wars attached to it,
Yeah.
where you have Secret Wars, Doctor Doom. He's going to be the main villain in the Secret Wars storyline. This is the book that people want to see the two together.
Yeah. And watch out again for that Canadian price variant because it's a lot lower print run. And, if you are seeking those Doom covers, it's a good one to have.
Mm-hmm. What's up, Christina Payne? How you doing? Welcome. All right, let's take a look at our next book. I gotta give Christina Payne moderation. She's got to be a blue wrench. Wait, let me go back because I gotta, I gotta re-record this, right? Our next book, you already saw it, but our next book here is The Punisher. This is the limited series title, number 1, 1986. Fair market value of this book is $59. Very fine. 9.8 is $152. A 9.2 sold on the 22nd of December for $120. This is the Punisher's first solo appearance. Well, first solo Punisher series. Darn it, that's a good cover.
Yeah. Awesome. Like, again, you want to talk about covers that when you go to a booth at a Comic-Con that are going to kind of get you to stop. This one will every time. I love it.
This is one of those books for me when I first got into comic books back then. This was one of those books on demand in which everybody wanted it.
Yeah.
Everybody loved Punisher at that time because he was dark vigilante. This was the dark era of comics, as they like to call it. And Mike Zeck knew how to draw Punisher the way we wanted to see him.
For sure.
You know what I mean? When he was part of Amazing, Spider-Man, that was fine. They kind of gave him this weird hairdo or something like that. It wasn't until Mike Zeck started doing him that he looked vicious. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you really locked it in.
Mm-hmm. So definitely one of those books there. Let's see here. I added. Let me go ahead here. Mm-hmm. I just gave Christina Payne is now a standard moderator. There you go, Christina. I had to give it to you. All right. I prefer the War Journal era. Those early Jim Lee issues are my favorite time of Punisher's period. Yeah. You know what? We did that not that long ago. We did the Jim Lee one. So we talked about Punisher War Journal. I have issue 1. I was going through my boxes the other day and I see issue 1 pop up. Oh, look, I got issue 1 of Punisher War Journal. So
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's another one. War Journal is one of those books where it popped out. People were onto it by then because of this series.
Mm-hmm. But still, this is the one that kicked it off.
Oh yeah.
Right? It definitely kicked it off. This is the book that I love this book. I also love the other one, the one that he's on the fire escape. That's a great cover as well. So I'm not hating on either or. But Punisher number 1 back in 1986. I'm trying to get somebody to get me something in them because my throat is going dry, but they're not listening. I keep doing it. I keep changing it when I'm supposed to change it back, right? Captain America Annual number 8, 1986 as well. Fair market value $25. 9.6 goes for $140. A 9.4 sold for $115 on the 22nd of December. It's when I think of Mike Zeck, this is what comes into my mind. This cover.
Yeah, amazing cover. What's not to like?
The lighting, the shield versus the claws, the
Yes.
angle.
The
This is
age-old question: what would happen if his claws hit that shield?
and we get the answer in this book.
Can we see that in a movie, please? Please, please.
I think there's a very strong possibility that that will happen. Now, the possibility is definitely there.
Yeah.
But this is, again, a lot of people think of Punisher, and I agree with them with the Punisher cover. But I think this is the one that is his greatest cover of all. That's my opinion. I
Yeah.
may be in the
Again,
minority. I may not be.
it's got multiple characters. It's got the action. It's got the shield versus the claws. It's way up there for sure.
Yeah. This is a Zek masterpiece. Absolutely. Love that cover. Classic cover. You can't go wrong with this. And again, $25? Why not? You know,
I got to ask at the comic shop on when I go on Thursday, and if they have it, I'm buying it.
This is what I do to you, right? That's what's in show.
I know.
Every time we talk about, oh yeah, I got to go to the shop. See, and then every week you get like your shop is gonna say to you, why is it you're always getting these rare books out of nowhere? What is it that you do? It's like, go to YouTube.
Yeah.
But I've seen this as a T-shirt. I've seen different, color versions of it. The original is still the best use of color I've seen in the book.
Yeah, I love it. Love that one.
Now we're going to rare gems. Chuck Norris Karate Commandos #1. This is for Star Comics. It also came out in 86. $8. There is a 9.6 for $97. Last recorded sale of this book was $8, and it was in December 9th. This is Chuck Norris' first comic book.
Who knew? I didn't. I did not know that.
And I can't pass up on Chuck Norris comic book. It is a Mike Zeck cover, as well as the first Chuck Norris comic book. $8.
Amazing.
Mm-hmm. It's based off a cartoon of the same name. So Chuck Norris had a cartoon. That was the 80s for you. That, we just had these crazy cartoons. Mr. T had a cartoon. Jackie Chan had a cartoon. Yeah, why not? Chuck Norris cartoon? I'm in for it. I'm down.
Who isn't a Chuck Norris fan?
If not, then Chuck Norris will get you.
He will. He'll find you.
Mm-hmm. Is he a Chuck Norris? You think I'm a Chuck Norris fan? And there goes by. Those ninjas aren't messing around. Yeah, but don't mess with Chuck Norris, man. He'll kick their butt in the heartbeat. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There you have it.
They're actually
Mike
all pointing
Zeck
their
cover.
guns at him. It looks like.
Yeah, and they still can't beat him.
And it doesn't matter because he's facing away from him. He's not worried about them.
Exactly. He's not worried at all. He's Chuck Norris.
Yeah.
All right, let's take a look at our next book. Daredevil 241. This is one of those books that I must have picked this book up at least 3 or 4 times. And it's back in 86. It's $4. It's 9.8 goes for $159. This book sold for $5 on the 21st. It's a cover by Mike Zeck, but more importantly than that, we've been talking about Mike Zeck, inks by Todd McFarlane.
How does that even happen?
Well, he was doing the inks.
I know, but it's just amazing that the crossover of those two people. Oh man, dynamite.
Mm-hmm. And what's really nice about it is that you could see both of their styles in it. Right? It's a good mashup between artist and inker. But this time, when the inker becomes one of the biggest artists of his generation, to the point that we were just talking about one of his books in the top trending, and this is another book that he did inks for. So to do inks over Mike Zeck,
what a great book to pick up for $4.
Yeah, I must have picked this up so many times because I just love that cover. Such a good cover.
It's another one I'm going to have to look for.
Mm-hmm. Another masterpiece. I agree.
Yeah.
So simple, but it says a lot. It really does. It really does. Okay, our next book. Another classic cover. Ah, I screwed up. Son of a gun. I didn't catch that top part. I guess I have to go to post to fix this, don't I?
You know what? And your trend continues. It's another.
I always get caught, right?
America.
I can't even tell you what number it is. My brain ain't working right.
332, it looks like.
332? Is it 332? Let's see here. 332. Captain America 332. You guys are gonna be like, Izzy, what's wrong with you? Well, that's the nice thing about re-recording this. 332. Let's see here. Yep, you are correct in that, sir. So Captain America 330. The numbers I know are true. Oh, they're not good. They're not true either, because it wasn't in 2015, but it is a Marvel comic. I do know writing the rest of the stuff. $11 fair. $11 very fine. $131 at a 9.8. Last recorded sale of this book was $131 and 9.8. It's an iconic cover. And we talked about Todd McFarlane, but this one was inked by Klaus Janson.
Another huge name.
Mm-hmm. Another classic cover. This is beautiful. This is a poster.
Yeah.
You know, and then to have Abraham Lincoln in the corner box is genius.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, oh, let me just throw in Abraham Lincoln while I'm at it in the corner box, just
There's
to show the importance.
Always be a market for these patriotic style U.S. flag with Captain America. They're just good covers.
Mm-hmm. Secret one. Sorry, Bobby. You know, I work hard. But I will fix it in post. When you see the re-recorded version, it will be corrected. Trust me. I correct every time I have to correct it. So you that's the purpose of the live stream. You get to enjoy my goof ups while we're at it. All right, let's go to our next book. Web of Spider-Man 31. This is the start of Kraven's Last Hunt. This book, part 1, is not given as much love as the other books, but it should deserve its place. It's also an amazing cover by Mike Zeck. This book is going for $19, very fine. 9.8 goes for $128. Last recorded sale was $16 of this book. Most of Kraven's Last Hunt is fairly reasonable pricing. I've picked up a few of them here and there at good prices. What who've read Kraven's Last Hunt, tell me what's your thoughts on Kraven's Last Hunt.
So I was just actually flipping through, and you're right about this first issue. They get the story set, the tone set, and he's in the ground. Spider-Man's in the ground by the end of this first issue, which is amazing. And again, you know, collecting ASM and then hearing about this, and whatever the first issue wasn't amazing, whatever part it was, I don't know if it's part 2 or part 3, but that was kind of the first time that there was a crossover where I had to go back and go, oh, wait, I have to go find these other issues. Again, genius by Marvel for sure. Mm-hmm. But yeah, just I love this story. It's really good.
Yeah, the ASM obviously is the flagship, but Web was the secondary book at that time. So they decided, how could we get more people to buy Web? Well, let's do a cross promotional storyline where we could tell the whole story in a shorter time period, but within the different books. And Mike Zeck did the work on all of them. So with that said, I'm sure the original plan probably was to do it all at ASM, but give love to Web, give love to the other books, and then we could get it done faster. Because at this time, what a lot of people don't know is that this was running very close to some new artists coming into Amazing Spider-Man. You know, he was
Yes.
doing some work in Incredible Hulk, but
Yeah.
they already was talking about getting him in an ASM, and that guy I'm talking about is Todd McFarlane. He was getting
Ironically related to Spider-Man, but I almost dropped Amazing Spider-Man with issue 297 because I just did not like it at the time. I didn't like the art. Thank goodness I didn't.
good decision, right?
Yeah.
It wouldn't be a weekly Izzy with you got that right. Yes, Matt, you finally got some Mike Zach. Now go back into the videos and make sure you like and subscribe. All right, let's go with the next Craven Last Hunt's book, and that is 293. This is the iconic part 2. Right, this book comes out $24, 9.8, $95, which I think that is a steal
Yeah.
for that kind of price.
Amazing.
With this cover being so iconic, you know, and besides, this, a lot of these covers are iconic with Craven's Last Hunt. This is part 2. This one is beautiful.
Oh, amazing. You're giving me ideas that I should try to collect them all in 9.8 now. That's what I'm starting to think.
I'm starting something with you. Right. Okay. This is the second part. Then we got the next one. It just keeps getting better, man. Part 4. This one is Web of Spider-Man 32. This one's going for $32. 9.6 are going for $123. $19 for a very fine sold this week.
Amazing.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And when you get the, I showed you quickly, but the collection that you can get, the various trades and all that, they have a really cool section at the back if you're a Mike Set fan, where it's just the pencils, and it's really, really cool. So if you are a Mike Zeck fan, look for those collections, because it is a really cool addition at the back of them.
I've seen this image on posters. I've seen this image on T-shirts. This is iconic.
And so many homages to this as well.
And they're still doing it too. We talk about Todd being homaged a lot. This is one of those books that gets homaged a lot. Mm-hmm. Here's another one. This is important. This is Amazing Spider-Man 294. This is part 5 of the story. Another book that's $24. 9.8 goes for $290. And this last sold for $22 in near mint. This is the death of Kraven the Hunter. Now, what I will say about his death is that it is a death that lasted. Yes. And it was significant. When he died, and the way he died, had a lasting effect on Spider-Man.
Yeah, at the time for the comics, again, you just didn't see that in a comic book.
Mm-hmm. So, a book, you also feature, I believe his daughter is in this book as well. But what was really interesting, which shocked me a little bit, was that this wasn't the final part of the story.
Yeah.
The story continued in the next issue, which I thought was interesting when I realized it afterwards. But this is the death of Kraven the Hunter. Such an important story, especially in Spider-Man lore.
Yeah, for sure.
Now let's go with another DC book. We're getting to the point that we're reaching the end of these books, but Batman 417 features a cover by Mike Zeck. This is a $15 book. It's very fine. 9.8 goes for $98. Last recorded sale was a 101, which was a little bit more than the fair market value. And this is the first appearance of KG Beast. Another great cover by Mike Zeck, and rare DC comic book for Mike Zeck. We've mostly seen him in Marvel, but he has done some work in DC.
Yeah, and I really enjoyed the way he does Batman as well.
Mm-hmm. Look at the work. He managed to get him to like swing, and then you have a beautiful skyline behind him. Like, and then the lighting is just, even though I'm sure he doesn't do the lighting, but the color, like Mike Zeck has probably got some of the best colors doing his work.
Yeah, another standout cover for sure.
Mm-hmm. Another Mike Zeck classic is Deathstroke the Terminator #1. This came out in 1991. $3 for this book. 76,009.8, and the last recorded sale was $4. And it's Deathstroke's first solo iconic Deathstroke Mike Zeck cover.
Yeah, if you're a Deathstroke fan, you should be trying to find this because it's still, still has the Terminator in his title, which didn't last real long.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love calling him Deathstroke the Terminator. It's really good. Mm-hmm. Right. Kenneth Burr, what's going on, my friend? How are you doing? Okay. Moving on. And I think we've reached a final point here. G.I. Joe Real American Hero 224. This is the Great Lakes Comic Con variant, limited to 3,000. Mike Zeck doing an homage to Secret Wars 8, utilizing snake eyes.
Yeah. And it's rare that you see like that. It's a little bit more of a trend now, but where the main artist homages their own work. I always love that.
It's also worth noting that there's no recorded slabs of this book.
Oh, interesting.
Very interesting, especially in this day and age.
Yeah, with how popular Secret Wars 8 is, I'm surprised. And G.I. Joe, for that matter.
Yeah, this is not the only one of its kind. There's also a black and white edition. This one's even more rare. This was at 1,500 copies. And there is no recorded value. Wow. So it exists. Whoever has it really sold it.
Yeah.
So there's no recorded price tag for this. And it could obviously should be worth more than the color one. So be on the lookout for those. And that, wait, we got one more. Oh, yeah. And there you have it, guys. Mike Zeck. What's your thoughts on this list that we just went over?
Oh, it's awesome. So many books. Like, it's so interesting to always see like which ones get picked. And I love it because I learn so much. Because when I look at my list, like my list is completely really different. Like there's a little bit of a crossover with the Secret Wars, but I just love it. I love seeing all those Captain America covers. They're really good. I got to find that Wolverine one.
Yeah, it is awesome, man. Mike Zeck's one of those guys. Again, he deserves more credit than he gets, even though those of us in the comic book community do give him the respect he deserves. But I think he's just one of those guys that consistency. That's how I look at his work.
Yeah, 100%.
Okay. We are at that point right now. We're almost at the 2-hour mark. You see what Spotlight does? We get so entangled with Spotlight that we can't help it. So it's down to our final part of the show. It is Fresh Picks. Let's talk about some new comic books that are coming out this week.
Yes.
For Christmas. All right, so let's go.
Yeah. Yeah.
Woo! That's right. They're scheduled to come out on Christmas Day. Chances are your shop will probably be closed on Christmas Day.
Yeah, I would say so.
I would check with your shops. Some shops have decided to sell their books tomorrow. Some shops decide that they're going to sell their books on Thursday. So check with your shop because they have their book. They have the books.
Yeah. Mine is Thursday, unfortunately. What fortunately, it's fine. I don't mind.
Right. So this week's new comic books are coming out. There's some great books coming out. It's not a large list, but I got to give credit where credit's due. Thank you to Superior Stands for their books, their stands. I love their stands. I'm utilizing their stands right now. You can see some of these books are being utilized there. Go check them out. There's a QR code for you. I've also have a link in the description for Superior Stands. And give them a shout out, man. They're such a good site. Good stuff. They're trying to hit a goal in their Instagram page. So I know if Christina's still there, if she could put the Instagram page, that'd be great. Go check them out. Make sure you sub them up. Those guys are awesome. They really are. All right. Let's start with the rundown. The rundown is as follows. We have 67 new comic books scheduled, 271 variant editions, 13 new number ones. As far as potential keys go, there are 14 with 9 first appearances. And again, as I mentioned before in the past, these are all considered potential keys. You don't know until it comes out, until we read them, and we know they may be more, they may be less. But these are the ones that technically have been announced already. As far as the breakdown goes, Marvel has 17 titles with 68 variants. DC, 18 with 84 variants. Image has 12 with 40 variants. Boom Studios has 5 with 21 variants. IDW just has 1 book this week. And Dark Horse, they decided they weren't going to release any books. Dynamite has 1 book, 14 variants. So they got to keep up to their trend.
Yeah.
Mad Cave Studios decided they're not going to do any books. Titan Comics, they're interesting because they don't have any new books, but they have 2 variants that are coming out this week. And as far as the indie publishers, they made a decision that they're not going to take out that many books. So we have 13 with 41 variants. Let's take a look at some of the keys that are coming out this week. Starting with the first key here is Time Slide. Time Slide number 1 is a very important book because these are stories that are going to look ahead into stories that are coming up for 2025. So it's kind of like a preview comic, to say the least, of stories that they're planning to come up. The one that's considered a spoiler is that one in the middle, which is a David Nakayama homage to the first appearance of Phoenix. What's your thoughts on Time Slide?
Well, thank goodness I ordered that middle book of homage to Uncanny 101 because I'm a huge Nakayama fan and I love that cover. And I think I did not know about what the image was going to be until I think today. Mm-hmm. So I'm super happy. I actually tried to get 2, so we'll see how that goes on Thursday.
You see this right here? My comic shelf. Shout out to the guys at Comic Shelf. I normally do this as shows what you got, don't I? Ba, ba, ba. There it is. Have it. So I did pick up I was able to pick up my books today. So shout out to
lucky you. Does it look as good in person as it does in this picture?
Oh, absolutely. It looks great. So there you have it. Time Slide number 1. Also for DC, Metamorpho, the Element Man. Number 1 comes out this week, which features the first appearance of Mr. 3, an agent of Cyclops.
Metamorpho, I've always liked that character, but I don't have a ton of stuff with them. So maybe I'll take a look at the inside and see if I like it.
Yeah, I picked it up. I'm definitely going to take a look at it. See, Metamorpho is another one of these characters, though he didn't make the trending list. He will see his name pop up in these hot lists because is part of the Superman trailer. There's a quick scene in the trailer where you get to see his face. So, and he might be a big character in that story. So be on the lookout for that one. Mm-hmm. All right. Here's a book that has some spec value to it. It's Kidpool and Spider-Boy number 1. This is the first appearance of Kidpool, the movie version. So this is the one from the movie that's being debuted here. So this is first appearance. I do have a copy, and I think this is a book that will have an increase in sales because of that factor.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough to keep up with, his daughter, the Kidpool, the dog, the cat, and whoever else. Probably there might be a rat pool in there too. Who knows?
Sooner or later, right?
But I'll definitely be getting this book for the same reason. I'll just probably get the A cover because I think in this case that's the one you're going to want.
Yeah, and the other covers are, nothing against the artist, but they all have that same vibe to them.
Yeah,
they don't really look different to each other.
Yeah, agreed.
Mm-hmm. Next book here, Absolute Wonder Woman number 3. This features the first team appearance of the Terracide. That Ariel Diaz cover is so gorgeous.
So Izzy convinced me to buy the 1 in 50 of that cover because the store has it and they asked me if I wanted it.
If you want to spend the money, there is a minimal trade dress for it, which I
Yeah,
think would just be suffice to me.
I think so too.
Personal,
Because there's not a whole lot trade dress on it, but I do love that cover. It's great.
yeah, it's a minimal. It's the difference between a minimal and a version is not much, so I don't care in that way. I
Great.
rather not spend that money just to not have the trade, and I'm a
Thank you.
fan of the trade. I like trade dress. Yeah, but it's
I'm
all
gonna have you on a hotline when
absolutely.
I go to the comic store from now on.
Hey Izzy, I'm buying my books. What do you say? Yes, no, yes, no. All right, next book up. Hell Hunters #1. This is the first appearance of Felix Bruckner, but more importantly, it's the origin of Ghost Rider 44, and it's going to be featuring several World War II characters that existed in the Marvel Universe, which includes Logan, Bucky, and Nick Fury, Sergeant Nick Fury to be precise.
I'm looking forward to this book. So I don't know a whole lot about it, but I really enjoyed that appearance and kind of intro in the Hulk book. So I can't wait to pick this one up.
Yeah, I think it's a good solid pickup. Detective Comics 1092. This is the first full appearance of Asema, a vigilante who kills small-time criminals.
If you're not reading Detective Comics, they just started a new arc, I think 2 issues ago, and it has been really solid. The art has been great. The story is cool, and clearly the covers are great. I love that third one.
Mm-hmm.
So it's been a great read.
Yeah. Detective Comics has been outshining all the other Batman books. You know, with Ram
It's
V
been
doing the ones before it too.
yeah.
Void Rivals 15, everyone's favorite Autobot, Hot Rod, is back. And yeah, that's it. That's all I gotta say. It's Hot Rod. You got a Hot Rod in the cover. Why not?
Yeah, I'll probably get all those covers actually.
Mm-hmm.
If I is
The
the
last,
third one a ratio? Do you know?
so the third one is a retailer exclusive. That's a Miko Suyan cover, for big time collectibles. But it's it's Miko,
Yeah,
so got to show. So the other ones you could find in the stores. I think the one in the center is a 1 in 10.
that's
It's
the
also a
tough thing.
connecting cover.
Not that I dislike where I live, but it makes it difficult being in Canada because those retailer exclusives, if you order from the States, it's you got to do the conversion. Plus,
Mhm.
you always end up paying about $30 more at the
Mm,
border for customs to dig
yeah,
through it. It makes it tough.
yeah. Sorry to hear that. This is the book that I think the possibility of being a rare gem, and that's Dust to Dust #1. This is from J.G. Jones. You might know the name. He's a popular artist. He did some really good stuff back then. And he has a story. It's kind of set in the Great Depression. Steampunk. Let me go ahead and read this. A tormented Oklahoma sheriff and a scrappy photojournalist hunt a serial killer at the height of the dust-choked Great Depression. It's from Image Comics. I call this the indie pick of the week.
Yeah, and I'd agree with that. I mean, right now, for me personally, Image with the #1 issue, it's really tough for them to go wrong. I mean, the Ghost Machine universe is firing on all cylinders, and any kind of book, like if I pick this book up and it's got that quality of those Ghost Machine books, I will instantly buy it. Just the physical quality of it. So
Mhm.
hopefully it's got that.
Yeah. Bob is saying, tell Cannon not to be so mean.
I wish.
All right, next book up. We're at the eye-catching variants now. This is the fun part. Superman 21 Darren Morrow cover. This is a cover A. That is a cool cover.
Yeah, that's a great cover A for sure. I love it.
All right. Also, you have Batman Santa Claus Silent Night Returns issue number 5. Pete Woods homaging Dark Knight Returns, but this time with Santa Claus.
I mean, that's one of the best covers in comics, in my opinion, that Dark Knight Returns #2. So I'll probably buy that, even though I'm not buying the series, just because of that.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And we talked about Absolute Wonder Woman #3, but let's take a look at this 1 in 25 by Donnie. That's pretty good cover.
Yeah, I like that too.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, personally, though, that Diaz cover, that's the one for me.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I'm picking up as many Scotty Young ASMs as I possibly can. This one features Vulture with baby vultures on ASM 64.
Yeah. I don't usually get his covers, but I might grab that one because it is really good. I really like that
Mhm.
one.
Yeah. And X-Men #9, Miguel Mercado has a 150 cover with Cyclops. There's also a trade dress version that's I believe is cover price. It's just a cool Cyclops.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And there's another variant of that one that's coming out that is a kind of homage to X-Men 1.
Mhm.
If you've got people
Chris
that like,
Caruso. Yeah, I saw that
yeah,
one. Mhm. Ultimate Black Panther 11. We haven't talked about Ultimate Black Panther in a while, but this is a Storm cover done by Puppeteer Lee.
yeah. And again, you know, if you've been following Ultimate Black Panther, which I have, you know that the A cover for this, if you're in the spec zone, might be something that you want to pick up. I do love that Storm cover. So again, I'll probably get the A cover and that cover.
Mhm. Next book up, Action Comics 1081. There's 2 books I'm going to highlight. The Fisco Osiro 1 in 25, which is Superman and Lois kissing. So that's a cute cover. However, the one in the center is a Mark Spears cover. It's a cover price. Remember we talked about blue. There's a whole lot of blue.
That's his go-to for sure. He loves that.
Right. So we'll see how that one performs in the secondary market. I don't think it'll perform as much, but it's a fine cover. The book that I saw and I went, damn, that's a good cover. And that's Batman Gargoyle of Gotham #3 with James Hewlett doing the cover. Look at that cover. That
I know.
is sick.
And this book is so good. This one is a very long delayed book.
Mhm.
I completely forgot about it. It's been so long, but the series is really good and amazing book, amazing covers. The interior art is wicked good. So
Mhm.
easy buy for me. I'll be picking that up.
Yeah. Right. Power Girl 16. This is the Miguel Mercado cover. That's pretty cool. It's Power Girl.
Yep.
Right. Exceptional X-Men #4, the Margarita Savage. I'm sorry if I'm messing up the name. It's nice to have a little Hanukkah cover there with Kitty Pryde.
Yeah, for sure.
And Moon Knight Fisticonchu #3. This is the Megan Henrik 1 in 25 cover. That is a nice cover too.
Yeah. That's a name that I don't recognize. So I will definitely be searching them out on Instagram and follow them because I really love that cover. I think it looks great.
Really good work. Right. And here's one that you mentioned to me last week. Made it the list. It made the list this week. But before we talk about that one, let's talk about that Sabretooth, baby. Oh my gosh. Frank Miller.
People are gonna buy that book because it is so bad.
He looks like a troll from Lord of the Rings.
I mean, I think
Look at that nose, man.
yeah, we've talked about it. And the other thing that strikes me about all his more recent covers is it's the same thing, same pose every time. And I think next week he has a Galacticus cover coming out that is it's one that I'll actually pick up because I actually like it. So we'll see.
Yeah. Well, the one he did of the Maker is a really cool one. I really like
Yeah.
that one.
Yeah, that one was good.
But these covers, I don't know what's going on. Frank, what's going on here?
Oh,
What are you trying to tell us? I want to say they're digital as well. I don't think he's actually drawing them. I think he's doing it in digital, but I'm not sure. That
Yeah,
could say something too.
and you know what? Like whatever it is with them, maybe it's a phase, or he's just this is the style he wants to do now. I mean, it's Frank Miller; he can do what he
Mhm.
wants. But
Yeah, he's earned it. At least there's that.
yeah, like my thing is more like if there wasn't a Frank Miller name attached to that cover, is there any chance that Marvel is putting that on anything?
Yeah, I know. Our next book is Red Coat issue number 8. This is a nice cover. I love this cover. Negative
Yeah,
space cover, really
no,
good.
and Red Coat again. You know, you go to the Ghost Machine universe. We've all followed comic books. I know I have through time with vampires and different immortal characters, but rarely has there been a bumbling immortal
Mhm,
character. And I just really enjoy the book
mhm.
for mainly that reason, just how well it's written.
Yeah. And the last book, I know you mentioned this book to me last week. This is Hello Darkness number 6. It's a Jenny Frizen. That is just scary.
Yeah, and it's beyond it's again it's Jenny Frizen, you know, doing something different with her
Mhm,
style. Like it's still the headshot style, but
mhm,
wow, we have not seen anything like that. And
mhm.
I don't even know what this book is. I haven't been reading it, but I am buying that cover.
Yeah. That's just crazy.
Yeah.
There you have it. Those are the new books for this week. Again, check with your LCS to see if you're picking up books on Tuesday or you're able to pick the books up on Thursday. Some of the shops are going to allow to sell books as early as tomorrow, so go check them out if you need to pick up your books. Shane, we did it again. Well, not as long as last week, but we
Cut it
did do 2
cut it
hours
like
and
what,
17 minutes.
10 minutes or so? That's pretty good.
Not bad. We're getting the hang of it. Hopefully next week we could do a smaller creator spotlight. Maybe that's it. That's the key. Lowering creator spotlight.
Yeah, but you know what? When you've got big names like that, it's okay to take the time because and I said it in there personally, like I learn a ton and it's something that I can go back to later and try to find those books. I'm still hunting those Terminator books from the Alex Ross ones. I
Yeah,
will have those books.
you will have those books. They will be mine.
They will
Oh
be mine.
yes, they will be. So before we end this, what I want to do is I want to. We have 7 people watching. Maybe more people will start jumping in a second. You'll see how this works. Um, we're gonna do something a little different. I haven't neglected the channel members, and it's been a while since I talked to the channel members and been able to do it. So what I'm gonna start doing moving forward, starting for the month of January, is I'm gonna do a channel membership box, and the channel membership box is going to happen every month. In which I'm going to give them a box of comic books. I might do some other stuff to go along with it. That's going to be the standard moving forward. However, each week I will give other people the opportunity to be part of that box. It's kind of the same concept of you win a duck. So for this week, what we're gonna do is we're gonna run a giveaway, and in that giveaway, we're just gonna do a hashtag in a matter of seconds. And what we're gonna do in this particular giveaway is you're going to be entered into the January box. If you win it, and you're not a channel member, then you'll just get a standard box. If you are a channel member and you win, then you'll get something a little bit more because I want to be able to give the channel members more bang for the buck for being a channel member. And if you're not a channel member, what's stopping you? You can start as low as I believe 99 cents to be a channel member. It really helps support the channel. It helps pay for a couple of things that I do, like StreamYard, which doubled their price, Cat Cuts doubling their price. So really helps in that matter. That's how it is, and I am able to get some comic books I could give away as well, and that's what the channel memberships are for. So do that. Let's go ahead and get this giveaway started to be part of the January box. As always, I have a little video that goes with it. So Shane, it's Christmas. That's what's happening this week. Also, happy Hanukkah. So
Of course.
get your hashtag Merry Christmas here. and we'll do the giveaway, and we'll call it a day. We'll call it an evening there. So far, no one has done anything yet, so I'm still waiting for these hashtags to start rolling in. Okay, there it goes. Now, if Joe was here, Joe would like, just do it now. Do it now. Do it now. Imagine. All right, we got Las Cruces also back. You see this? People start jumping in now. We got 7 people in the stream. Shane, talk to us a little bit about what's going on in your channel. I know you talked about it a little earlier, but for those who haven't heard before.
Yeah, so I do new comic book day videos. I try to put out everything when I get those books on Wednesday. I come back, record a bunch of shorts, which are just the 1 minutes. And then I do a long video where I look through the books that I bought, take a look at the interior art, show that off, kind of help people maybe make a decision, or it's really just my own internal monologue of me recording what I actually would be saying as I look through the book. So it's all kind of, I don't have any notes. It's all unscripted. It's just me talking about comics, and anybody that wants to join in. I have some different videos as well. And in the new year, now that the postal strike is kind of settled, I have about 300 plus books that are ready to go, divided into groups of 25 to go to CGC. And that is going to be a lot of fun because there are big books in there for me, like the books that we're talking in the 80s, the McFarlane Hulk, the Batman, all kinds of great stuff like that. And some old Silver Age Spider-Man too, they're going.
Awesome. All right, we got 4 entries so far. What's up, K-pop junkie? She just jumped in out of nowhere. There you go. Joe must have written Merry Christmas at least 6 times now. Joe, you don't need to put more. We got you. We got you. All right, we got 4 entries so far. I just woke up. It's been a long day. I know. I want to go to bed too. So there you go. She's her hashtag.
She's got it. Yeah.
I gotta send her. I gotta care a package to send her as well. So, Katie, I haven't forgotten. I'm gonna send you something soon, very soon. All right, we got 7 people watching, 5 entries. We'll keep it nice and short. I bet you next week everybody's gonna yo, is he doing giveaways now? Is he doing giveaways now? So this is for entry to January's giveaway box. Let's see who gets in. Joe put another one in there. You know he's a channel member already, so I'm not even worried about that. And all that, and Matt's the one that wins it. All right, Matt, you are now in for the giveaway stream, the giveaway box. So the giveaway box is going to have some really cool comic books. I'll show you 2 books that are already going to be in that box right now. I'm going to throw in a Shazam number 7. That's going to be in the box. And Absolute Wonder Woman issue number 3 will be there as well. And this is the start of the box. So it's not going to end with these 2. So
awesome.
So we'll definitely put some more stuff as we go along. You mentioned Todd McFarlane Hulk. I might have something with Todd McFarlane and Hulk in it.
Oh man, at my store last week, I went in and they have I think it's like 20 by 24 or something like that, metal poster of that cover. It was tough not to leave with it.
Which cover though?
The Hulk 340 cover.
340. Yeah, it's not going to be a 340, but it's going to be a good one. And I promise you guys, it's going to be a good one. Yeah, because 340, I'm not giving that thing up. No, it turns out I have 2 copies of this one book that people would like to have, and it's going to be in the January box. I'll reveal it to you guys next week. Until then, guys, we're going to let you go. We want to tell everybody happy holidays, Merry Christmas, happy Hanukkah, happy Kwanzaa, happy Festivus for the rest of you. Whatever you celebrate, or whatever you don't celebrate, spend it with friends or family and have a good time, and make sure you stay safe this holiday season. Safe. Exactly. We'll be posting videos throughout the week. I think I might be posting some other extra videos as well. We'll see how it works out. But next week we're gonna have another new list, a new creator spotlight. I'm thinking about doing something where we spotlight one of the more modern artists. But again, there will be a poll out, and we'll talk about that poll. You'll see that poll coming out throughout the week. So be on the lookout for the poll. Until then, we leave you as always with a thank you video. So I'll see you guys next time. Shane, it's always a pleasure having you, man.
Thanks
And
so much, Izzy. I really appreciate it.
thank you. And thank you all, guys.
I think this is it. I think you're about to go home. Okay. All right. Look, thank you.
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 Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. I never said thank you.
And you'll never have to.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I guess I'll see you.